Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. Today I decided to do something a little bit different and explain to you how I go about cleaning my trumpets. I do this about every 6 weeks, and it's just a great way to maintain your instruments and keep them looking as new as possible and as shiny on stage as they can be. So what I do first is fill up my tub with lukewarm water. You don't want it to be too hot because that could damage the lacquer on your horn. And I disassemble my trumpet and I leave my valves out. We'll get back to those later. So I disassemble my trumpet and put all of the metal parts in the tub, and I personally like to place mine on a towel in the tub just to prevent any scratching. You don't have to do this step, but I find it just really helps with a little bit of extra protection against scratching on your horn. And then you add a little bit of Dawn dish soap, not too much, maybe a quarter size at the most. This is just to really make sure you can work out all the grime that's gotten in your horn over the past 6 weeks since you cleaned it last. So then what I do is I'll actually let all of the parts of my horn sit for an hour, and I find that this really loosens things up and it gets the trumpet as clean as it can be. So while the trumpet's soaking in the tub, we'll move on to the valves. What I do with the valves is a little bit different. I really like to avoid scratching my valves, so I'll set those aside and clean them all separately. I usually will go to my sink and have the faucet running with some lukewarm water. I don't usually use the soap when I'm cleaning my valves. I just find that I don't really need it because I keep them pretty clean to begin with. But I will wash them under the water and scrub them with a really smooth cloth. And this really allows for no scratching and no damaging of the valves, because if something were to happen to your valves, it would kind of be game over for your horn. My favorite thing I've gotten since I started cleaning my own horn was these trumpet cleaning brushes, but the tip of them is a black, almost felt type material rather than the normal gritty, bristly type material you would usually find, which can scratch the inside of your horn. So I like to use the felt type to clean my valves, especially because I just find that it gets me a better clean and it gives me one less reason to worry about scratching with my horn. So I'll take these and I'll clean the inside of the valves, and then I'll scrub them, and then I'll just give them a good dry with a towel and call it good for those. So after some waiting, I will take the same felt brushes for my horn and I will clean all of the tubing inside of my trumpet. I really make sure to clean everything. The parts that you want to focus on are the lead pipe and the main tuning slide, because if you don't spend a good amount of time cleaning these areas of your horn, it's really not going to do much good, because this is where most of the grime is going to be. The next thing that I like to do is really focus on all the other tubings in my horn. I'll make sure to clean the valve casings really well, and I'll also make sure that I'm really cleaning around the tighter areas of the horn itself where the grime would be a little more apparent. The next thing that I like to do is take my valve caps, and those can get kind of nasty with the old valve oil when it drips down into those, so really make sure to clean those out well. This really doesn't affect your trumpet playing at all, but it's a lot nicer having those be clean than it is for them to be dirty, because if you go a year without cleaning those and they're all gross and yucky, you're not going to be able to fix it, and then it's just not really a fun situation to deal with. So the next thing that I'll do is I'll move on to the body of my trumpet. What I do for this is the same process basically as with the valves. I will take the same soft cloth and just really make sure to wipe down all the trumpet. This is really going to be the step that makes the entire horn shine and just gives it that extra sparkliness on stage, because no one wants to be looking on stage and see a trumpet with fingerprints all over it. It's just not as fun for the audience or you. I find that when my trumpet looks better, I play better, which is probably some form of placebo, but if it works, it works. After this step, it's time to get the horn out of the tub. So what I do when I take my horn out of the bathtub is I'll actually take the faucet and make sure to rinse all the soap out of the trumpet. You don't want to leave any soap residue in the horn, so really make sure to rinse it out well before you reassemble the horn. So next what I'll do is I'll leave my trumpet to dry, and I try to leave it overnight. So usually I'll try to wash my trumpet towards the end of the day after I'm done practicing, because I just find that this doesn't really hinder my practicing time, and then I'm able to just carry on with my routine the next day. So I'll see you guys in the morning.
Approximately 10 hours later.
The horn is finally dry enough to put back together. So what I will do is first I'll go through and oil all my valves, and I'm pretty liberal with oiling my valves when I do this, but you don't really want to not put enough on them because, at least for me, this is the best my valves get oiled in a 6-week period. So I make sure to really apply the oil all over the valves. You don't want to miss a spot on the valve in this process because your valves will stick sooner, and you just don't want that to happen right after you clean your horn. So after you get through this process, you can put the valves into the trumpet itself, and then it's time to move on to the slides. So I go one slide at a time, applying the slide grease, putting it onto the horn, and then I'll wipe off any excess. But you want to make sure you really do this step well because your slides need to be able to move pretty freely in order to have the best intonation possible with your horn. And then, this is my little secret that I use. It's probably not good, but with my third valve tuning slide, what I'll actually do is put some trombone slide oil on there alongside the slide grease, and this really allows for free movement in the slide, and that's the slide I use most often. So it kind of just makes sense for me, but really do whatever works best for you. If you have a little tip or trick, make sure to leave those in the comments. I'd love to see what you guys do kind of like that, just your own little way of making playing your horn a little bit easier. But I do that, and then what I'll do is throw the valve caps on the horn and really just get it ready for playing. I'll make sure the valves all work pretty well, and then the horn is basically done. I like to add a little extra step in the end where I have polish that I use for my trumpet, and this step kind of just gives it the final finishing touch glow that I like to have with my horn. So I have a cloth that came with it, and I'll just apply that to the horn pretty sparsely. You don't want to put too much on there, but this is also something I repeat once a week just to keep my horn looking fresh in between the cleaning periods. So once this is done, the horn is basically ready to play. All you really have to do is tune, make sure everything is working properly, and if it's not, figure out what's going on. Once I had a situation where I couldn't figure out what I was doing wrong, I just couldn't get my trumpet to play, and then I realized my second valve was in the third valve slot and vice versa, so you always want to make sure you have those little details cranked out or else your horn won't play and it's going to cause a lot of frustration. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please be sure to give a thumbs up and let me know what you want to see me do next on this channel. This is a new little series I'm going to do, and I think I'm going to call it Trumpet Talks. I guess you'll see when this video goes up what the new series is going to be called, but just little aspects of my playing that people have questions about that might help someone out. I'm in no way a professional. I'm in school to become a professional currently. But really it's just going to be me giving tips and tricks as to what worked best in my high school experience. But if you have any questions for that, please be sure to leave those down in the description and let me know how you guys clean your instruments. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and be sure to have a good one. Bye.